What's going on, YouTube family, guys and gals? So today's episode, I'm going to show you talking about the Magna Flux spot check kit. Now, I had one and it was old and worn out. The stuff was dry, so I bought that thing like back in like 1988, 1989. So I had to order some stuff. I'm working on some heads for a Ford FE motor, 360, 390. I mean, there's a whole myriad of the FE style. So anyway, we had these heads vatted. We've started doing some porting and whatever and futzing around. But before we go any further, because I was waiting for the kit to come in, we're going to check for cracks. Now, a lot of people say, well, just use the old magnetic and, iron filing dust. Well, that's good. That's old technology. Things have changed. Even my chemicals, that was the old spot check, die check stuff, was 1988, 1989, and I bought that kit. And back then, because there was, if I remember, there was 3 or 4 cans just like this. I want to say it was 3. It was almost $100. And of course, back then you had to buy. I bought it through the tool dealer on the truck. I couldn't remember if it was Snap-on or Mac or Cornwell, because I bought tools off all 3 of those trucks way back in the day. So, yeah, in my former life, I actually worked at a Ford dealership in the late 80s, early 90s before I joined the Army. So, anyway, so I, believe it or not, I actually have a real heavy background in, I actually went to the Ford Asset program back in the early 90s in Hobbs, New Mexico, the initial setup program. So yeah, I'm actually a Ford was. So I've done motor building, you name it, I've done it all. And now that I've retired from the Army and getting into metalworking, and I always loved working on cars and doing motor work and stuff. So anyway, that's how I had that kit, and it was dried out. It was worn out. Just the aerosol leaked out. So I ordered the new kit. All right, now I ordered this from a company. You can get them. It's actually from Magna Flux. Okay, I got it from a distributor. I'll hold it up there so you guys can see. Actually, from a distributor. I'll open the container up. Now, I ordered it from a distributor online. They're about $127, which that's pretty good. It's in a case. Now, this isn't just strictly for automotive. This is a spot check kit that you can do check cracks on a lot of stuff. So I will open it up. What's nice about this kit is, number one, it came in this. So it's nice if you are a field mechanic, field machinist, or you're a welder and you got to be able to check for cracks. And so it comes in this nice travel case here. All right, I'll go ahead and show you what we got. Now I've already kind of prepped one head, and I'll show you the process on another. So, comes in a foam filled case. You've got your spot check die penetrant operating instructions. I'll briefly verbatim kind of go over them. You got 3 scrubbies here, which are nice. Okay, I hadn't used them, they're still here. You get a marker pen so you can mark your cracks or your inclusions, or there's some fancy words that they use in here, and I'll read them off. So you got that. You got some white rags in here. Okay. Then you've got 2 cans of the cleaner. Alright, which is the SKCS aerosol. Okay. And this is all non-destructive testing. So it's got all the information on there. You know, if you go to the website from Magna Flux, you can actually look at all their stuff. So there's 2 cans of the cleaner. There's a can of the, well, that's developer. Here's the can of the Penetrant, which is the red stuff, the dye, SKL SP2 aerosol. That's the Penetrant, which is the red stuff that's on this right here that you're seeing. Okay, and then we've got a can of the developer. So I'm going to read over some stuff here real quick, and it just, excuse me. So if you get one of these kits, this is in it. I figured out real quick, if you just lay it on top, it'll actually slide out of the case. So if you get this kit, slide it down in the front. That's why it's kind of folded, so it won't slip out the back, because it kept falling out. So I did notice that. Or you can fold it and stuff it down beside one of the cans. Basically, it says the dye penetrant method of inspection with spot check, non-destructive to test for defects open to the surface. It may be used on such materials as aluminum, magnesium, brass, copper, cast iron, steel, stainless steel, carbides, stellite, certain plastics, and ceramics. The essentials of the methods are penetration of the dye, or penetration of the defect by the dye penetrant, removal of the excess, penetrant from the surface, development of the indication, inspection. A deep red indication will mark the defect. Basically, they go through here and they tell you first, okay, is I cleaned the heads off. Now, we actually took, and these were sent out to a machine shop that does the boiling, or whatever you want to call it, you know, freshly dipped, all that, you know, where they boil the heads out and tank soak them and whatever. Now, you're still going to have to go through the exhaust pass, and I've already done that. When you get them back because of thick, heavy buildup, I went through first and removed a lot of the crustification. There was a lot of deposits in these heads. I posted pictures on social media. Neighbors on the motorcycles Sunday, you can remember them getting out running. But anyway, so I had to go back through with a wire brush, stainless brush, on a drill, or I also used, which works good, these are actually for woodworking, and they won't hurt. They're a nylon bristled, going through, and just make sure you wear, I always talk about my respirator that I wear, and I always have people ask about that. You can actually get these from woodworkersupply.com. They're actually here in Albuquerque. So I will say, when you're starting to clean on heads or anything motor wise, because this actually clips onto your nose, this slides around, I've showed this before, okay, you clamp your nose off, and this is all, you know, if you have a beard, you bite on this and you can breathe through it. Fresh air in from the back. So make sure you use this, because all of those materials that are in burnt fuel inside the motor, the oils, the deposits from all the chemicals in them, especially this is like a 1960s motor, so even back then they had lead, so all that deposits is in there. Take care of your lungs. So I love doing that. So we did that, and we're now at the stage what I did yesterday afternoon. So this is well over 18 hours. They say on the red dye you need to leave it on from 10 to 30 minutes. Now I've left it on way longer, and according to their directions you can. So I'm going to move this over out of the way here. Just slide it over here. And I'm going to grab, alright, set these over here. Now, so we're going to go with first, since I've already done the, now both these are already cleaned up and ready to go. Let me move this stuff over out of the way so I don't get more garbage on it. Because I wanted to see, are there any inclusions, cracks, defects? Because we are going to do some porting and polishing on these heads. We've already done a little bit. So you can see, even after sitting overnight, there's still a lot there. I'm going to use shop towels, no lint, okay? And they tell you to wipe off the excess. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to wipe off the excess. Alright? So it doesn't all dry totally hard. And I was very heavy with the dye, because I wanted to see, where is it going to end up? Okay, looking for any cracks. And I even sprayed on the intake ports, the exhaust ports. Now, I am not a fan of rags, like the regular mechanic rags they sent, because you always end up with little lint. So I like to use these towels. Alright. We're going to get all the excess off. Now they tell you, we'll wipe the big excess off with this, with rags first. I will read through the directions briefly on these, Now you can wear gloves. I'm going to get red stuff on my hands probably. I'll clean it up. Alright, and I even did this over here down inside the intake port. You can see where we had quite a bit. So if you're worried about red dye getting on stuff, put cardboard down, something like that. I didn't because, you know, it's a shop. You're supposed to get things dirty. You know. Now you keep it clean. I'll wipe it down with, well, let's see if this wipes down with alcohol. Because I've always got my denatured alcohol. Yep, it's coming. I'm always using denatured alcohol. Yeah, just like Daikin. So stuff cleans up with denatured alcohol real easy. So not a big worry. And it's a work table. So they actually tell you that in the cleanup process, I'll grab the directions here. Okay, we've already done the application. All right. So before I get carried away applying, or I'm sorry, before I get carried away removing, let's go ahead and apply it to the head where it's empty, or not empty, well, doesn't have anything on it first. Okay. So that way we don't have to wait a long time, because I do want to leave the dye penetrant on there a long time. So we will start here first. It's already been cleaned. I've went through, I've removed, I've semi-polished, whatever. But I want to make sure before I go further, because I am going to have to put seats in these. We've got some bad seats and stuff. So anyway, cleaning, it says for pre-clean, coat the part to be inspected with spot check cleaner remover. Allow cleaner to remain on the part long enough to dissolve dirt or film. Wipe dry with a clean cloth. Repeat if necessary. After final clean, wiping, allow time to dry before using spot check penetrant. Clean same day inspection is conducted. Now, depending on if you're doing a motor part or if this is on a job site, they can dictate how long they want these chemicals to set on there. I'm not going to get into that because that's not my area of expertise. But, you know, so if you're going to take this stuff to a job site to check for cracks and something, you know, you probably want to check with the guys, the inspectors that do this, or the people that do this stuff regularly. Okay, so first we're going to do the clean. And I'm going to set this here. So aerosol, spot check, developer, penetrant. Okay, this is the cleaner. Blue, non-destructive tester. Okay, so first, there's no ball in here, but you can shake it up. And I'm going to grab, I'll just go ahead and use some of these because that's what they're for. Alright. The cleaner, and we are going to spray some cleaner on here. These were cleaned off last night really good, but I'm going to go ahead and go through it anyway. Now typically on the heads you're just going to be looking for and it almost smells like brake cleaner. I wouldn't be surprised if it has a lot of the exact same chemicals. It has the same odor to it. So we're going to go through. We'll wipe it down. I've already went through it, but you're still going to get stuff up because these aren't 100% clean. They're like 90% clean is what I'd say. Clean enough to run a motor. I mean, you're still going to get oil out of the cast material, but as far as the major oils and debris deposits that are on here, again, this kit can be used on more than just motor stuff. But motor stuff, you know, I'm still getting a little bit of oil and stuff off of there. So, alright. And I'm going to even add a little air to just dry it off. Alright. Hopefully the air compressor doesn't kick on during the video. I'll be pissed if it does. So, it's clean. We'll go ahead and wipe it down one more time. Alright, and we are going to leave the dye on here for quite a while. I'm just going to wipe the surfaces off. And on this head, I'm just going to do just in the chamber area here where the spark plugs go in. Now, I've seen some areas that kind of look like it, but It's just tool marks. Now, typically, you can usually see really bad cracks right off the bat. These heads have, is to my knowledge, haven't been extremely overheated, but I don't know. Unknown about this motor. It's a donor motor that we're building. So the next we're going to do is we're going to take the die itself. Okay? Kind of shake it up. I always have a habit of shaking everything up a little bit. Alright. And we're going to die this. And you got to be real. You don't got to, you know, they tell you to hold back on applying the dye, the penetrant. Spray or brush the part or section to be inspected so that the surface is covered with spot check penetrant. If penetrant pulls back in droplets, stop and clean part again. Refer to step 1. Allow penetrant to remain on part from 10 to 30 minutes. Longer penetrant times may be needed for locating extremely fine, tight, and here's a fancy word, discontinuities. That is a $5 word. So we're just going to hold back here and very lightly and quickly. You don't want to get too heavy fingered on it because you'll see what I'm talking about. Just very lightly. A little goes a long way, and I'm making sure I get down into the ports on this side because I'm going to check even in, and I'm pressing really lightly, and I'm going to even do this side over here just so I can get inside there for a me thing. I want to see if there's any cracks. A lot of this is just this is the first time I'm using the new modern stuff, so this is how you learn. So we're going to let that set. So this is why I did this last night, as far as, and I let it set overnight so you could see even overnight it was still somewhat tacky until you wipe off the excess. So we'll grab another rag. That's why I did that, so this one would already be prepped so we wouldn't have to wait. But I want that to soak on there, and that'll stay on there for several hours. So when you go to clean up, they actually tell you in this third part here, remove penetrant. When sufficient penetration time has been allowed, wipe the surface with a clean towel or cloth. Repeat if necessary. Some surfaces will require wiping. In general, however, remove excess penetrant with clean cloths pre-moistened with remover cleaner. Do not flush surface with remover cleaner. This will impair the sensitivity. Repeat this procedure with additional wiping until residual surface penetrant has been removed. What they're saying is, so the cleaner, don't spray it directly on. Pre-moisten your towel. Spray it on your towel first. And so we'll do that. You can see where it just comes right off. And you can see where it kind of even sprayed on the material there. So we don't want to, because we don't want to wash it out of the cracks. And if you spray it directly on there, you'll do that. I'm trying to get you guys so you can see everything. Let me move the camera. There. Okay. So we're going to come in here and we're surface wiping. This stuff should have soaked into any cracks. Alright. So if there was any crack, it should have soaked in overnight. I put a lot of it on there. Alright. Grab another rag. So have more than one or two rags handy, or towels. Let's go ahead and pull some others off just so they're ready. Alright. Fold these up. But yeah, it smells a lot like brake cleaner. I don't know if that's what it is. I wouldn't want to use anything else. Just use their chemicals. That's what they're designed for. Just spray it on the rag and we're going to wipe again. Surface just flat. Don't spray it on the part because you're defeating the purpose of letting it soak into cracks. And I'm even doing this surface on the exhaust side here just because I wanted to play and see. You know, this is how you learn. You experiment. Alright. And we'll even wipe out the intake side because I sprayed it too. I sprayed all three sides. I want to see if there's any cracks. I don't sustain. You're typically not going to spray on the intake side or the exhaust side. This is purely for, I'm learning and I'm teaching you guys at the same time. Because this is newer stuff that I haven't used before. So if cracks show up, you know, or you suspect a crack, the old days of the magnet with the iron filings, that's only good for certain stuff. This is new modern technology that helps you find cracks in more than just metal. So, plus I can get another angle here and kind of see where. Wiping the surfaces, the big stuff. And there's a lot to having to get, you know, your areas clean because this stuff's soaked in overnight. And after I get done, I will go back and this is going to be fun to clean off, but we'll get it. You know, that's when I will probably use brake cleaner or cog cleaner to pull this dye off. More than likely. Okay, so it's in. Alright. One more towel here. Remove this off the front. So that's soaking on there. Just so we don't get developer on it, I'm just going to lay some towels down like that so I don't accidentally get developer over there. And laying those over there isn't going to pull dye out of critical areas. It's just so. Okay. So we've got it on. And what we're going to do now, the next thing is, alright, remove penetrant. We did that. Okay, develop. We need to shake our developer. And you can hear this one has a ball in the can. Spray the part section to be inspected with spot check developer. Just enough to wet the part thinly and evenly, no more. Proper thickness will dry to an even white layer. Too much developer will mask indications. Too little will not develop the indication sufficiently. For ease of application, hold spray can 8 to 12 inches above part and spray short 6 to 8 inch sections at a time. Allow developer to dry. Watch for large cracks to show up immediately. Smaller cracks may take a few minutes to develop for best indications. Inspect. Defects will be marked by a deeply red spot check indication. A line or dotted line marks a crack, lap, forging burst, or cold shut. If wide and deep, the indication will grow and spread. Porosity, shrinkage, lack of bond, and leaks will appear as dots or local areas of color. These too will grow and spread if the defect is large or extensive. So, hopefully we don't see any of that, but if we do, it'll be a learning experience. All right. Someone's walking in front of the house. We got to bark. Sounds like I may have a visitor or two that drove up. I'm going to spray these over here too on this side. So this stuff's going to dry. Alright, now I didn't get it cleaned very well according to the directions, but a lot of this is for testing purposes. And I can see where, we didn't obviously get all the dye off and you see it's turning red. We understand that. And I know there's areas around where I didn't get it around. And these are all the original seats. So none of these seats have been installed. So it's all the original factory cast seat that's part of the head that was ground out. But I don't see any cracks where we would normally see them. I see where the bleeding over from the dye because I didn't get it out. You would spend a lot more time wiping dye off the surfaces than what I did. So a lot of this is just a basic demonstration on how to use. So for video purposes, I would spend a lot more time removing a lot more dye. I can tell right away from me applying the developer where I didn't clean it very well, and I knew that. Again, depending on what you're using this stuff on, take your time, don't get in a hurry. I'm looking for basic cracks on heads that's generally in between the valve ports, to and from the spark plug. I didn't see any. I'm gonna, we're gonna do down inside, and it's kind of hard to show that on camera. We'll post pictures of this up on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, at EagleDustOff37. My public email address, if you guys have any questions, EagleDustOff37@gmail.com. So, again, this was just a basic overview of how to use the stuff. You guys can see it's already getting, and I'll try to move the camera over here, bright. Okay, and you can see where, we didn't clean very good around the spark plug ports. And you can, it shows. So, spend a lot of more time cleaning, wiping. But what we're looking for are cracks. Now, it's going to be hard to really, if I didn't see any ones, because I've looked at these heads with my optivisors. Generally, you're going to be able to see them pretty quick. As they're developing, like here, it's nice and white. I didn't wipe a lot of the penetrant off, and you can see where it came through. So on this one, when I go to do this one, because this one is more suspect than this one, I'm going to spend more time wiping the dye off, because right away you see it turned red. So let's say this was a crack. We'll simulate per se. If this was a crack, you would see where it would turn red. That was just because I didn't get it out. But that'll give you an idea of, okay, the penetrant. And if there are no problems, and the other thing too, looking for cracks between cylinders. That's another big thing, or any of the water ports, they'll show up. You'll see the dye, how it travels. So, couple of fold, you get to see where no cracks, and then an area suspect, which we don't see any. I've already looked these over with an optivisor. I couldn't see any. Anything beyond that, I don't think there's going to be a problem. Typically, you'll see cracks in between heads or cylinders at times, or other areas, water jackets, different things. But you see, if you have no crack, it's nice and white. But you can see how this demonstrates how the dye actually works with the bleed through. Now, I didn't clean it out, but I was worried about up in here mainly, is what I was worried about checking. I couldn't see any. You kind of got to go through, you got to see where I either didn't get enough developer on there, or I didn't get all the other stuff off. Not a big deal. I'm more worried about what's in here. And I don't see it, and I didn't see any under my optivisor. So, there you go. Get the camera back up. That's today's Sunday Shenanigans. Show you guys how the Magna Flux. And if you want to know more, here's their website. Okay, you can freeze frame that. You can go look at it, pull it up. You guys, Bar Z Summer Bash coming up this June. Go check out Stan Zakowski's channel. Link down at the bottom about information on this. Take care of yourself and take care of your family, because remember, at the end of the day, you and your family is all you got. Until next time, get out in the garage, have fun. Hey, if you need to check some cracks, go get you a Magna Flux spot check kit. This stuff is cool. We'll talk to you guys later. Be safe. Bye-bye.